したか。What stream?
That's streaming.
Wait. Oh, fun. Hello guys, ちょっと待って。I'm gonna start the stream soon. Just setting up something up. Hi. Gonna download something real quick. Oh, yeah. Is there some ribbon? Thingy. There you go. Oh, I think I downloaded the wrong one. Oh my, there's so many people already. Sorry, ちょっと待って。Let's go. Okay, don't let it. Let's go. I have to do this real quick. wonder if works is gonna work. Choto. Streaming assets. Misty, thank you Rahni. Dito to? Item scenes. Thank you, the go popular. 3D models. Where's the... This is streaming asset. Items, yeah. There you go. Is it early today? Nah. I just do random stream for now. Definitely not. Just give me a sec, guys. I'm setting up. Almost there. There you go. Hopefully it works. Okay. Oh, it's not working? Dang. How do I customize it? Oh, I can't do it. I guess we tried. What? Penny, thank you to follow. It's not working. No. I'll set up later, I guess. Hi, hi, Iguzo! How are you guys? Nyaho! Hi, Chad! How are you guys? How's your day? Yumi, meow! Hello, my princess! Look at me! You're gonna play, I heard this game is, interactive. That's all. We try. Because, wait, what happened to my... Hopefully I did it right. Nina. Wait, audio blocked by browser? I don't know. Hello. Thank you, Mystic, for your love you so much. Wait, okay, is it working now? Hopefully it's working now. Ba ba ba. Okay. Gonna play burger. We're making rabbit burger today. Welcome to business. We are open to business, but for now we have to do the tutorial. So see you more to me. Eh? Asma, teach me how to run the kitchen as good as mine. Okay, wait, what happened? Why is it not? Nini, do you like me? I'm clueless.
Probably.
Thank you again. Chota. But it's thinking you will donut. Excuse you. Oh my god. Let's go. Let's go. Wait, how? Why is the game stuck? Am I stuck? My name is Tyler. Oh, okay. What kind of animal is Tyler? Hello everyone, how are you today? Doing good. I've been making burgers in time for 40 years. Oh my god, cut the chase. What ingredient do you have ready? You have nothing? What you planning to cook air burgers? Yeah, air burgers sounds good. It's good for the ghost, right? Vegetarian. That's okay. Luckily it's an easy fix. Yahoo guys, very lucky me. Let's start with a simple burger. You need meat, bread, and a chalk cutting board. Local shipping or quick. Let's go. We support lobster. Local. Got the bread. And we got the meat. And we got the chopping board. That was fast. Very good waffle. The burger is essential burger. Presentation is key. Wash the plate in the sink and you really need to serve burger. Hold right click. This is left click. Alright guys. For now, you need to wash every time you need it. Do I need to wash that again? Let's go, burger time! Yeah, this is rabbit burger. Oh, that scared me. Paga. Ay. Come on. Yeah. Gabriel, take it follow. Well, you almost made me eat these. I thought I like raw burgers. Do you guys like raw? I like medium rare. Almost go to eat that. What the storage room? Is that the only one? Dang it, we have to reset. Bubbly. Why does the police have to do this? Go on this old pan and do it for now. Let's make burger. Making burger. Is it new or the story's haunted?
Bubbly.
B! Sige na ni. Wali don't have joke ayo.
Bubbly.
Dak na bongga jira. Yeah, Tiki Mystic for the fried egg. Tiki TikTok. Something smell. Uyo! Fire! Fire! Yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you for the awesome mistake. No, much better this than the customer order once. You should enjoy your food. No one has to see. Sabar lah, aduh. Oh, you have to open this. Here, give you burger. See? Fast. This is fast food, guys. I didn't have the freshly made touch I was expecting. Sorry, it was floor. I think they dropped my food on the floor. How did they know? No one has to know. Cook, serve 3 burgers, cook as requested. Okay. Hello, pigeon. You know you eat shrimp to make yourself pink? What you want? You want extra meaty, I see. Why do people want it well done? Well done is not good. It's not the best way to eat your meat, you know? One, 2, 3. There you go. Me who's watching this munching my burger. Oh my god, you guys are eating burger. First day of work, I almost burned the store. Yeah. Hey man, I've been liking this girl for a month now. How do I impress her? Give her burger. Nobody says no to burger. Buy from Mio. It's a rabbit burger for you. You too. I'm so proud. Let's go. Come on, hurry up. We need some more. Oh, you like my burger? You will come 2 seconds. I'm so proud. Welcome to my stream. What do you want? You want to... Yeah, that's what we's talking, bro. Brazilian. Thank you to follow. Oh my god. Okay, bro finally took the right meat. It is how you eat. It is. You must eat the burger medium rare. Okay, nice. Bun. Are you the bun stalker? Are you the bun stalker? Thank you to follow. Thank you. Thank you, follow pan. Thank you. Eper. Am I seeing your name right, sir? Would you like a burger? Yes, very 5-star. Does that count? I guess not. I guess they don't like throwing burgers. I guess we have to do the regular way. Uy, Philippines. Uy.
Probably.
I wonder if I have throwing burgers somewhere. Mystic, thank you to finger. Hi. Thank you for the rose. Oh, bro is angry. Look at that. Look at that stare. I'm sorry, okay? Oh. There you go. We got the perfect burger for you. Are we doing a good job? Maybe it's more cooked than I ordered. Dang. We made it worth 1 star. I'll tell you 1 star. Guess we have to do another one. Watching it. Oh wait. How many fire you want? 2 fire, okay. This is a Burger King, not a horror game. Oh god. Eyeing the burger. 1. Gordon Ramsay gonna be proud of me. 2. That's good. The ghost wants some of them burger, yeah. Hi Miko. You're the only VTuber I spoil give. Yes, spoil me more. But make sure you have some for yourself, yeah? You remember to get food first. Prioritize yourself also. We got a medium rare burger here. Handle with care. Thank you for the money. It took a little while, but it was delicious. What do you expect a medium rare? I was going as fast as I could. They laugh happy. I think I thought you well. You taught me nothing. Now I can go bro, but more important. No! Nice, thank you to follow. I know you can cook. I can teach you how to make money. money, pay attention. Welcome to the culture club. Thank you to follow. I can't see your name. It's pretty small. And I have small eyes. Just introduce yourself, sir. And a customer arrives yourself as you can. It would be great if you got a bell. I got $50 and you want me to spend on a single bell. Oh my god. Now you need customer arrive. They will ring. Make sure. The price you serve will depend on the review. Let's go! Let's wait for the first customer and go do your thing. Minimize. Yeah, okay. You know what? This one. Let's open the store. Oh yeah, I closed this one earlier because it was annoying. What the? Because the thing about this game, you can do overlays. Yeah. You can make it small so you can do multi-stream or other stream too. So yeah. One. Let's. We don't have any meat. We don't have any meat left. Can we buy? How are we gonna? Would you like Hello Mio, making burgers I see. Yeah, hi. Let's give them a plain burger. Burger with no meat. Does that work? No? Dang it. We can't cheat in this game.
Probably.
Probably. Alright, thank you, Raimi. How many fire you want? One. That was gonna be fast. Hi, thank you to follow. Yeah. Here you go, Flamingo. Boing, my knee. $5 for that? The cook left the kitchen and left me hanging. What do you mean? I didn't even love the kitchen. Oh, I did love the kitchen. I need to restock my items. This is realistic. While waiting for new customers. Chat. Look at this. Okay. We can do this now. Can we? Not yet? Okay. I can't, no, not yet. Okay, though. To give it to you, this radio kept me company many hours in my gym. Right click to change the song. Shut up! Maghrib bang, maghrib! Tutup! No mommy here. I don't adopt people. I eat children. Let's turn off the song first. It's Maghrib right now. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. Let's set things up. Ay! Too uppy. Diam lang ka ako na set up sa book. Blah. I'm doing something. Ay, tutup. Berantu tempat ni. Contoh what eh? I eat children, yes. Copy link. Let's see if this is gonna work. Let's go! Chat. Now this is for you guys. You guys want some burger? Okay. Alright, time to order. Chat can ask. We'll go for every. Let's make it every 10 minutes. I'm gonna make a command and set up the command.
Probably.
Okay. For now, we only have easy thinking with a rose. As for burger natural way, but you cannot order double ingredients or ingredients that server has not yet unlocked.
Probably.
Yeah. Hello! Sukani, hello! Burgie for render 1, use this format Burgie plus ingredients. Burgie. Ayan, amici. Izu? Imen Izu. Hello. Inimida? Yeah, new model. Oh, chotomate. And this game is also then. Thank you to follow. Look at this stream. You're so cute. Thank you, Kai. Alright, let me see. So I have to guide you guys, chat. People follow. Wow. After all these years. Praying for your pregnancy 2025. Oh my god. You're too late, bro. I'm already pregnant. With food. Oh my god, where is it? Where is it? My ADHD is not working right now, so I have to set up from based on how this gonna look. Basically the game. Let me try to type it out for you guys to understand how to do redemption. Because you guys want to be my customer. Gotta be the customer.
Probably.
Let me try.
Like, sabar, tak buat lagi. I have to write up. Text. Text. Burgie. Okay. Command. Order. Command order is Burgie. Burgie. Command order Burgie. Ingredients. And then Burgie with ingredients. For now, let's try Burgie first. And then if you guys want to rate,
Probably.
hi, thank you, Rosa. Just thank you to follow. Sorry, guys, if I got distracted. Thank you so much. How to review? It is 30.
Probably. Probably. Probably.
Thank you for the rose,
Probably. Probably.
Thank you. Oh, yo.
Probably.
Wait, I can just copy paste. I forgot. You guys can also like command. I forgot. There you go. And also you guys can ring the bell, I think. Alright, for now let's do that. Sorry. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for the support. See you later. Okay, thank you. Yeah, don't spam the chat, okay? We don't do spamming here. Thank you to follow me, cool.
Probably.
Let's make it small. Thank you for the nasi lemak yuzu.
Probably.
Okay. Oh my god, it's so small. So small. I had to do this for now. And then thank you, chat. Thank you. And now I'm gonna set up this for now. There you go. And then we set this up. Properties. Excuse me.
Probably.
Thank you, so. Thank you for the share, so thank you to go popular. My god. Don't stress up, Mio. Don't stress up. My ADHD. It's not showing. There you go. I think you guys can see it better now. That's it. Okay, the first customer will be Burn. Burn will try it first. You can do it. Okay. Okay, Burn. It's open now. Ah, berdiri. Mak. This is annoying. Is it opening? Oh, it's still processing. Opening in 3 minutes, guys. I don't know what's going on. Stuff stream. No start yet. They have a timer before start. Sadly, you have to wait a bit more. See? There's a timer. Opening in. It's loading in. When will be the first customer? Excuse me. Manually close. Hurry up! Hurry up! My customer wanna buy. Oh yo, I should have set up a while ago. Siapa tak pergi maghrib, pergi maghrib sekarang. Let's see. We'll see if it works. I'm so nervous. Hopefully it works. Timer. Viewers can order in 3 minutes. Oh, I can do that. Oh, okay, try again. Who's that? Mystic, go first. Hi, Mystic. What would you like? You like 2 burgers? 2 fire burger? Okay, got it. you got medium rare. Also, please give me a good review, Mystic. My first customer of the day. Also, you guys can start using the command now if you guys want. I think it's working now. I got the best one. See? Hi. Here you go. Thank you for the money. Oh my god, the girl. Burgie well done meat. Okay, let's go. Burn one a well done meat. Got 3 times. You want a well done meat? Okay. Okay. How are you today, sir? Lovely. Elise, you gotta hurt me.
I can chat.
Yes, you can chat. Hi, Ka. Ayo, Ka engkau. How's your day? How's your day? What do you want? You want burger well done? Oh my. Yeah. You should try this game, Alice. It's fun. You can play with your viewers on TikTok too. Like, they're talking to you live on the chat. Burger Rabbit 1. Okay, well done, Burger Rabbit 1. Okay, siap. Nah. Bagi review siya just now Sen je bagi. I could be happier with the service. Yes, go. 5.5. Are you the one with the V-tarts? Are you the one with the V-tart? Are you a viewer tarts, bro? You don't say that. Be mature, please. Oh my god, you're so shameful. Oh my god. Thank you to follow, Chris. Okay, you guys can use the command if you guys want. Yeah. Just use command/burger. Wait, let me set this. And you can also repeat. Who are you? What like a burger? You want like a burger medium rare. Medium rare burger. Siap. You can also chat while talking to me while I'm getting in. Burger siap ya. Go. Let's go. I'm cute. Oh my god, you're so cute. You're such a bear. So cute, kawaii ya. Ayo, bell. Sabar kak. Bagi good review ya, tak jatuh ni. Here you go nah. Here you go. Go for you. Bagi 5 star ya. Thank you. Suka. It was delicious. Yay. Belum cukup 5 star lagi mah. Who are you? Benar lagi. Oh, you in the koala today ah. You want what you want? You want well done lagi. Oh, tak strong tu. Sabar. Baling ah. Bagi burger hangit boleh tahu. Kita buat burger berapi ya. Hurry up. Saya ada meeting. Meeting apa malam-malam ni? Nak ambil. Oh, campak lah. Terima kasih. Dosennya. Siapa tu? Ni siapa ni? Siapa datang? Hello Kian. What you like? You like medium rare. Baru betul. Oh, bergabis. Sakai, tiga follow. Potong kaji kan semua. Tak apa, saya tak boleh potong. Saya yang bos. Basuh pinggan jap. Sabar. Oh, Kimi. Ayah, Kimi, were you eating rabbit, Kimi? How could you, brother Kimi? Medium rare. Yes, go. Mau dapat? Masak burger Kita laju. Okey kah tu? Sikit lah Mr. Bear. Siap. Bon appetit. Apa cakap pula kotor? The burger arrived on time. Yeah. Siapa yang datang? Siapa ni? Who is this? Mystic again. Oh my gosh, she love it. Wait, play music. Wait, what was the burger again? 1. Yeah, she likes it rare. I'm not sure either. What does it does? I'm not sure either. We got a rare burger here. Thank you, haunted fridge. Nah. Here you go. Thank you. Money. Everything in my burger was I asked for. Yeah, that's good.
Probably.
Dia, Dia, good luck for tonight horror game. Alice, you want a medium rare? Okay, got you. Thank you. Very nice. Thank you, Doc. Thank you to follow. Medium rare. Oi. Oh, itu. Oh, jap. Lupa. Tak tambah. Jangan marah. Oh, dia marah tu. Ayo, 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 ayo. Ali marah tu. Oh my god, oh no. Cepat, cepat, cepat. Hurry, hurry, hurry. You guys saw nothing. Oi, okay, no, kau garang lah. Ooh. I've seen fire in the kitchen. I was like, fire. Who are you? Name si Brent. Sabar. Well done. Still well done. Takoyaki. Hello. Hi, Amir. Hey, tikir follow. Hi, Neo. Neo, meh. Get burger. Everybody can get the burger today. Mio buka kedai Ramli. Ramli Burger Arnab. Yes. Come on, it's a rabbit burger today, guys. Mio's business is going wild today. Oh, lupa nak masak. Bos minta beli satu. Hurry, tak ada. No, hurry. Pergi Hargit, bro. Sabar. Nampak ni api tak ada ama. Sabar. Ish, ambil. Sabar. Bagi duit 2 sen. Can't stop eating juga. Oh, sabar. Yeah. Misty. Hello, Herb. Okay, you want medium rare? Baru ada taste. Tak ada macam orang well done tadi. Not like we eat burger, we don't eat well done. That's not how you enjoy your meat, guys. Hi, thank you for follow. What do you mean? I'm not sure if the bell is only for like customer. Every time the customer only, yeah. Here you go. Would you like it? Here you go. Nah. Jangan lupa bagi review. Yeah. Thank you. It was so good, I couldn't stop eating. Let's go. I'll give 5 star. Don't complain. Your customer says, oh yo, Scotty. Scotty, voila. Okay, we can get tomato. I know you guys don't like tomato. Let's go lettuce. We're healthy, adding fiber. Yeah, you gotta go lettuce. You guys want sayo, you know. Every rabbit deserves a lettuce to eat, you know. Okay, you guys can order more. Just use the command like the below. You guys can see the command, right? Is it clear? Let me check. Bum 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 bum.
Probably.
Oh, we good food. Thank you, me. Want some burger? We are booking new opening business burger. Oh, I seen this game, yeah. Yeah! This game on Steam. Very good game. Very fun too. I like the details. You can make request with comment ni, Burgie. Burger.
Probably.
Tofu, thank you for having me. Hola, hi, hola. Okay. Burger, order. It's free. Come on. Business is running. No. Wait, I think we have to reset. Burgie, yeah. Burgie. Ejaan dia. This is how you spell it. Burgie. Yeah, we got restock. Some lettuce. For Belgia's bell, yeah. Tofu, thank you. Welcome to the Mio business. How are you, baby girl? You go. Ayok, mana pen? She want rare. Why you not get sayur? Nak makan sayur. Ha, gantoy.
Probably.
Probably karasu me. Let's go. Okay. Nah. Hello, baby koala bala. A happy cosmet. The big guy arrived fully. Yeah, dapat pasta. Maggie. Hello, who are you? Come back. Who's come back here? Siapa anda? Perkenalkan diri. Wanted tarik. Oh yo, want tarik yo. Random guy tinggi kepala. Ay. There you go. Da, 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 da. You want? Yeah, you got medium rare. Hey, Nasai, thank you to follow. Welcome to the stream. No, Gremlin, thank you to follow. We don't have cheese today, miss. Sorry there. We got lettuce, though. Would you like some lettuce? With cheese? Sorry. They come back. They brought me burger just I ordered. Yeah. Hello, oh my god, it's a puppy. Who are you? Gra! Good up. Oh, Gra makan sayur. Let's go. Kerja Brady dah berapa lama? Dia kerja Arnab Brady. We don't support genocide. Yeah. Double fire. Okay, good. Thank you. 2 fire. Got medium rare. Oh, Jesus. Oh, itu. Yeah. Cepat. How are you, miss? How's your day? You can press the bell while you order, guys. Here you go. Lupa tinggal sayur. Oh, can. Oh my god. Tinggal sayur geram loh. Oh, dia marah. Memang marah. Oh, geram. Come back. Happy streaming me. Thank you, Bia. No. Ayo. Come back. Hi, Bia. You want 3? Well done. Let's go. Okay, well done. Ada sister. Well done, burger. Okay, I got you. Hi, you. This is okay already. Thank you to follow. Here you go. Well done, sister. Yeah, thank you. Datang lagi. Burger smash, nah? How do you miss my salad? You were the first customer with the salad. Come back. Come back and I give you. Oh, yo. Okay, Fee, you want lettuce. This is not lettuce. Kita nak lettuce. Oh, thank you to follow. Kaya. Okay. Okay. Thank you to follow, guys. Oh my god. Oh my god, thank you to follow, guys. Zero. Ayo. Oh, yo, tu masuk. How many? 1 fire. Okay. Okay, this business is getting boom. Let's go. Mana model Americano? Aduh, pening banget. How do you put the lettuce in? How do you put lettuce? Oh, you have to cut it. How do you put? Sabar. No. How do you use lettuce? There you go. Okay. Here you go. Here's your burger. Don't run. Thank you for the business. You bagi 1 sen je, Mat. It was really dirty. They didn't respect my request to leave out. You don't want the lettuce? Why is there a lettuce icon then? Oh my god. Hello, Shira. You want lettuce? Okay, we got lettuce you. My brain is not working anymore. This is what happened when you work in the FMB. We ran out of burger! Only 1 cent, so cheap, yeah. So cheap and 1 cent. Dia cakap tak ada lettuce. How do you? I can't read. Okay. Yo. How many? How long you want? Apa ni salah bagi order? Baru je lah. Dah baling dah ngah. Ayah. Tut. You make me wanna, yeah, I kinda wanna eat burger now. Yeah. I'm a one-man show, man. Astaga. I forgot your lettuce, bro. Sorry, bro. Stresnya hidup. Jangan lari, bro. Sikit lagi. Nah. With lettuce. 5 star. Yeah, let's go. Bagi lettuce. No lettuce, okay. Okay. I think this one for you. That's siap. Tak fresh tapi. Jahat. It tastes strange. It's made of love. Dapat juga. Tak ada jual topa lah. Tak ada. There's no you mobile. Wait, what you want? Do burger. Okay. Sabar. Dah tak bagi pun ini. Ambil ini. Nah. Hang sabar sikit. Ambil. Hang patient bo. Dah thank you to follow. But it tastes as good as Amazing. Ini sebab aku bagi bergelantai botol. Ish. Next burger we go to prepare one. Cheese not yet. You guys want cheese? Yeah, go. You guys want cheese? Let me see if we can get cheese. Oh, we can get. Oh, tak cukup lagi. Come on. So support business, guys. Come and support the business. This order. Police. Oh. Thank you. Oh, datang balik. Returning customer. Welcome back. You want lettuce, right? You want lettuce, right? 2 meat. How am I gonna give you 2 meat? Karina, I think it'll follow million. Oh, can it be 2 meat? Let me try. Well done to me.
Probably.
Foxy, think it'll bang. Burger no beef. Huh? The bottom bun, top one. Chicken wood now. Thank you for the Jensina. Thank you for the rose. Can it be double meat? Oh, cannot Cannot. Sorry Only one Bawa sehat. Keep healthy, guys. Stay healthy. Thank you for the money. Cha-ching. Now we getting that cheese. I think I didn't drop your food. Oh yeah, I did drop the buns. Let's get cheese. Yeah, here you go. Cheese. Go! You want the 2 meat? Yeah, any well done pula. Wait, I think we ran out of meat. Yeah, we ran out of meat. Yep. Oh, kena palau. Sorry lah. Astro Joss on just like, yes, go anggur ke? You guys want anggur? With susu? double. Breadless burger is just a burger patty. Yep. Okay, got. Igo kurasu. Bon appetit. Yay. So cute. Yeah. Let me have it. How to get a perfect 5-star roll? Eh, dia balik tu wedding pula. Wedding berbakugo you. Come back. Welcome back. We got the rare burger. You drove a burger? That's okay. We got a new one. Next, thank you to follow. I think it's already cooked. Is it already cooked? I think it's cooked. Here you go. Oh no. I don't... They didn't include... I forgot the list again! Going. It hurt! Okay, you don't want lettuce, you want cheese. Okay, you want burger cheese. My fault, guys. Stole my burger, so I'm getting a new one. Oh, you stole your burger, Oyo. And make it extra oyen. Oh, you stole your burger? Oh my god. We got medium. Is it a medium fire? Okay. You didn't cook. My ADHD is working over. Thank you to follow. What's the game name? It's called Burgie. What is it called again? Burgie Cozy Kitchen. You guys can find it on Steam. It's really cheap. Here you go, sir. Make sure no oil take you it. Okay, thank you to follow. And then nom 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 nom. Yeah, perfect. Let's go. Thank you to follow. Yeah, enjoy the game. Burgie. Oh yo. Okay. Oh yeah, Mika. You want lettuce. Okay, gotcha. You got lettuce? Okay, we got lettuce. Got double fire burger. This. You want... What else you want it? You want a lettuce. Lettuce these nuts. I have to pee. I want go there. I want gempuk version. No gempuk. You want extra pedas. Come back later. Okay. Burger with lettuce. Okay. With matcha M21. Ada matcha dah pula bang. No matcha bro. Come back later for matcha. Thank you. Yeah. Business is booming, guys. Let's go. We have one more burger before we have to reset. Let's go, hotel. What you want? You want double medium rare with lettuce. Got you. Double fire. Yeah, nice. Go. Thank you to follow me. Okay, we have to set this aside. Make the lettuce. Oh my god, let's go! Got your food. Thank you. Let's go. They serve me food from the floor. Yeah. Sauce kacang. Okay, let me reset. Oh yo, order. follow. And had pattern boots for you. Thank you so much. Okay, Foxy. You want burger and cheese. Okay, we got the burger and cheese, okay. Wait, how many fire was it? 2 fire. Let's go. Hello, welcome to Mio Burger Time. Bro want cheese in it. No? Yeah, bro want cheese. Let's give them some cheese. Hopefully you guys are not lactose intolerant. Here you go. Welcome, come back later, okay? Come again. Burgie will enable lettuce and extra cheese. Okay. Let's see. We'll see if it's working. Oh, okay, you got the lettuce, we got extra cheese. Oh my god. For real, you guys are such a burger lover. Oh my god. I am low salary. It's okay. How much fire with the cheese? Chicken chop have. Chicken chop no have. Oh. Chicken chop no have. Try ask the pigeon next door. Kuno say Sabo. Thank you to follow, Zeno. Let's go. You want lettuce, right? You want lettuce. What the? There you go, magic. You got double cheese here. You got a cheese lover. Baba raba. There you go. You guys see nothing. Here you go. That's the Big Mac and mark there. Member tengah masak. Wait, hindi kita follow. Look how you had been. My bad, my fault, gang. Welcome back, returning customer as usual. By the way, you guys can order with extra cheese. If you guys want to add some lettuce, you guys can also tell me. It's like burger, like with the command burgie, and then you ask like extra cheese, like earlier, like the previous with it. Sabo. Ay. Sabo. Nasib baik comel. Thank you to follow. Hello, Hernandez. Sorry, kitchen's pretty busy right now. I'm probably not gonna see the chat too much, but yeah, hello guys. Welcome to the stream. You guys can order burger. Cheese? That's cheese? That's no cheese. You didn't order cheese in there. Ayo. You want cheese? You want double cheese also? Let's go. Okay, you got double fire. Wala pa. Really nice day. Thank you to follow ka. Business is booming, chat. Oh my god. How long am I gonna work this? Oh my god. You want double cheese, right? Double cheeseburger. Thank you to follow. Thank you. Thank you to follow. Double. What do you want? Anything else? Good? I got your burger here. Now you guys have to say meow now. Say meow. Throw no more. Here you go. Have fun, enjoy your food. Meow. Gonna be happy with the service. Let's go. Thank you to follow again. Sorry, I have ADHD. I cannot focus at one place. I have focused the cooking because the timer is also fun. Sometimes people just want to play the bell because they want to annoy me. Okay, okay. Yo. Let's go. Yo, ya sabar. Kenapa? Kenapa? Tengok burger tak masak dah. We got one burger fire. Okay, got lettuce. Guys want lettuce, want cheese. Thank you to follow. Aduh. Awak lah kau. You guys are so funny. Tepi. Sabar. The fog is coming. Oh my god. You want one cheese, right? Anything when you say? Got a cheese. Thank you to follow, thank. Ramai je sebab buat burger je. Yeah. How many people is watching right now? Thank you. Here's your food. I didn't realize how many people right now. 15 people, okay? 15 orders. Oh, cepat deh. I have to reopen. Okay. Thank you to follow. Thank you to follow. Thank you. 50 hungry. You guys are so hungry. It's crazy. Now it's 16 old. My throat is, my god. Welcome back, regular customer. Hello, let's go. Double fire patty, okay. Let's go, double fire patty. Hello, mommy. Hello, Shido. Shido, business is booming right now. Help me. Oh, yo. Terbang. Okay, you want? You want lettuce, you want cheese, okay. Lettuce, this is not in your mouth. Let's go. We got cheese also. There you go. Perfect burger. There you go. Thank you, come again. Yeah, I've got to take the money. Business is so booming right now. Hello, yo. Bossy, what do you want? You want, okay, you just want a double spicy burger. Got it. Buy a burger. Where did the plates go? Yes. What you want? What you want? What you want? Okay, here you go. Thank you for the money. Only that, how many the meat is too raw. Oopsie. Say pa. Come again. You want one? You want one fire? Okay, one fire burger. Gotcha. Yeah, bro, like the rare burger. Anything else you want to add?
Probably.
Thank you for the rose. Today I felt working at McDonald's. Basically every single one of them. Every single time when you work at McDonald's or any other F&B. There you go. Say meow. By the way, you guys can chat in the game too. Thank you to follow Maurice. Mauricio, I thank you to follow. Can you say hi? Wanna say hi? Bird is so quiet, introverted. They just want a burger. Like this. By the way, you guys can talk in the game. You guys can chat to me. Sorry if I was going too fast. Hello! Oh, Burn. Oh. Hi, Burn. I'll see you, Burn. Oh, she's so sweet. Okay, we need 2 fires. Oh, finally he's not doing the well done burger. Thank you to follow. This is relaxing for you, okay? I'm glad. Brandon, thank you to follow. Cepat sikit sih. Hei, aku bagi hangit buat tau. Tengok dah lupa dah berapa banyak api. When you want cheese also, right? Big boss nak laju. Who's your big boss? I'm your big boss. I'm the boss of this place. Don't worry. I'm gonna take a sip. You know, biggie boss. You know what? Let's give me more cheese. Let's give more cheese, right? No, cannot. Oh. Cannot more cheese. Oh. What happened to top bun? Ugh. Quine, thank you to follow. Ugh. Sabarlah, nah. Nah. Last one for me, okay? Jatuh, no jatuh. See, 4 star, right? Shido, hello. Oh my god, Shido. Oh my god, you're a bat. That's so cute. Say hi now. Before you... Not enough cheese. That's not enough cheese. The cheese not the sauce. Yeah, you're lucky we get one more patty. See, he said hi. Hi. You want 2 fire burger with double cheese? Okay, got you. Thank you to follow. Oops. Ohayo, Heliaki. Let's try. Can we set up the cheese at the bottom instead? It looks so empty. There you go. Is it double cheese? I'm Batman, of course I'm Batman. I am Zaki, thank you to follow. Oh, you want double cheese? Got you. Let's bite that. Let's put a cheese up top. Double cheeseburger. Very classic. Nah. Yeah, thank you for the money. Everything was so good, it was barely a divine thing to drop my foot. You want hey, you want double spice. Okay, double fire. Oh wait, I have to restart this. We ran off. Oh my god. Okay, got you. Don't worry. We got the meat now. Meat stock here. Oh. Hai, dengan tertarik. Nah, dengan tertarik. Ayo, no tertarik mah. Oh ya, masih. Happy meal ada. Alamak, alu. Sorry lah bro. Ada benda lain kah? Ya, tekan loceng ni, seronok. Tekan loceng. Let's go. Yeah. Lagi yang mana ada hangus. This is well done. There you go. Bagi 1 sen je mat majuk dah tak ada tertarik. Dia whatever. Thank you to follow, okay. Oh yo, sorry. Yeah, welcome back. You want lettuce and you want a cheese. You want a well done burger. Ayo, well done burger. Burger matcha flavors or no matcha. Because only coffee burger. Tak nampak. You guys don't see anything. You guys see nothing. Yeah. What you want? Sabar. Sekarang akak. Which is Mr. Nah, you got the Big Mac. Akak, I have to tell you. Tell me what? What you want to tell me? Berantem pula please tu. Tell me what? I want more. I thought this was the last meal. Come back again. Give me money. Yeah, there you go. Do everything on the planet table. Hello, you want more? Chido! You want what? You want a burger? You want burger? Spicy burger. Double spice. Let's go. Nasi biryani dengan ayam madu telur mata kucap. Bukan! Dia bukan mama. Bukan mama. Bang, ini burger tepi jalan bang. Bukan mama. This is no mama Shido. Shido. Bukan. Ayah. Okay, nasa apa nama game ni? Game ni Burgie Cozy Kitchen. Burgie Cozy Kitchen is on Steam. Ada kat Steam. And yeah, murah je. Yeah, ayo. And you guys can use it for TikTok too. So yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, burger saja ya bang. Burger. Yeah. Ni polis belakang nanti tangkap saya habis saya bang. Suka dia. Suka sekarang main. Oh my god. Hello Kian. Wait, what do you want? You want double spicy burger? Oh, okay, double fire burger. You want more? Get them more. Okay, let's go. This crazy one. Hello. Roti canai Nescafe. Bukan! Ini bukan mama. Ini bukan mama. Sini no some matcha or no order matcha also. Thank you for the journey pass. Thank you for the bagus. Ini kerja aku. Banyak so many guys. Thank you. Thank you for the gift. Anjay gelak tu aku buat gelak sekali. Aduh. Thank you for the gift guys. Heart. Thank you. Okay, welcome. Tak aku dah pening. Thank you. Double meat spicy lettuce or double cheese. Okay, go watch. Double lah. Oh, last burger. Sabar. Apa ding. Kecok. Sebaik aku bukan jenis yang melatah tau. Ni melatah jual burger kan. Pocok mak kau meletup. Tengok ke dapur tak buka lagi. Aduh. Tengok meat bun tak buat lagi. Double spicy kan. Okay lah. Double cheeseburger lettuce. Lettuce ambil yang ni lah. Dah lama kat tepi ni tak boleh. Kita recycle. Okay, business. Lawa. Nice. Thank you. Okay, kedai tutup Kedai tutup sekejap Tak ada aku dah. Big reset game. Bukan macam. No macam ini. Ini macam burger ni. Aduh, tak pasal kena reset. Yeah, welcome. Oh, bang. Bos lapar lagi ke bang? Aduh. Sekarang dah belajar makan minum rare. Makan burger rare. Let's go. Set. Thank you for follow. Bukan. No take eyes. Ini burger. Minum burger. Maju ah. Maju tak apa. Dia lupa kita perempuan. Wow, dia maju betul bro. Dia maju betul lu. Tengok lah kau datang balik. What you want? You want double nasib baik ah. Bisnes aku tak pasal dengan ni. Aduh. Tu majuk betul lu. Dasar tak mengenang budi. Aduh. Triple. Yeah, more and more sabo. We're getting new chopper trees. Oh. Ada macam-macam ragam customer. Ambil. Maju juga ni. Ambil, makan. Sorry. Maju. This one orang yang maju. Mr. Joe, thank you. Welcome. Oh, one medium burger. Would you like the cheese in that? You like cheese. Oi. You want double spicy. Let's go. Tak nampak. Aku baru nak buat roti canai. Aduh. Belum Melayu. You want cheese? I would like to cheese. Some cheese. What the? Yeah, see? Berapa? Oh, yeah, see? Fikir malam. Nah, there you go. What a little cutie. Cutie bed. I don't know if my burger had that something. Ayo. Tingnan ka mo. Hello, who are you? Hello, Z. Welcome. You want rare, no lettuce. We got you. Say roti junior. Say roti junior. Why roti junior, bro? Nah, roti tanah daging. Mana boleh roti tanah daging? Aduh, bagi roti sama tak lepas oh. Nah. Ambil. Ambil. Nak ambil lagi. Dah roti dah, cukup. Roti jala mak 5 tak ada. Oh, yeah boy. Tak ada, kau ambil ni sekali. Buy one free one. Dah, kau ambil ini lah. Kau dah ambil roti aku banyak dah ambil ni. Oh, dia hilang macam tu je. Oh, dia. Aduh, they slapped me so it looked like it had been cut 2 weeks ago. Ini itu malam. Hello, Mizan. You want burger? You want one burger, more lettuce or hello? Finally, someone decent. Order. Ingat ni mama kau. So, roti betul customer tu. Ya, tu banyak. Tiga dia bedal. You want lettuce tu. Bagus, sihat. Ini anak ini banyak sihat. Yeah. Tengok my auto chopper pun memang setuju. Mudah. Now cheese oh. Malu cheese. Okay, cheese. Kita bagi cheese. You banyak bagus, saya bagi you double cheese oh. Wah, double cheese oh. It's on the house. Ya. Jadi bahasa Melayu pula aku cakap. Nanti I don't care. Tower burger. Here you go. Tak apa, review rendah. You banyak, you dapat lebih. It wasn't fresh. Let it straight. Tak apa. We are all human. Kita semua manusia. Oi, marah lagi. Sampah boh. You want lettuce oh. How many fire? One napi. Oh, last burger. Later tutup kedai. What time is it right now? Yo. Sorry lah bang, kedai saya berantu sikit. My store is pretty haunted, guys. Roti habis lah. Kena sidai, mate. Sabar lah, sister. Sabar. Alah, botol-botol. Tak apa, dapat fresh punya, bro. Oh ya. Sabar. Why? Kena gitu je. Tak ada bagi special ni. Special bang. We are giving you special treatment ni. Kena sidai tu is premium version bang. Selalu subscriber pun tak dapat bang. Ayah. Mau apa? Nah, siap bang. Oh. At least sedap bang. Sedap kan? I almost lost now. Oh my god. Who are you? Hello, Shido. What you want? You want cheese? Shido, well done, Shido. Sidang masak. Medium rare. I want a hard tortilla with some rice. What? Wait, what? Sumpah. Kau sabar je. I want a hard tortilla with some rice bean. No beans. Ini bukan Chick-fil-A. This is not Chick-fil-A or Taco Bell. No Taco Bell. De nada Taco Bell. What you want? You want cheese? Thank you for follow Zuma. Give me dekat mana sis? You guys can have dia dekat Steam. Dekat Steam. Aduh. Nah, dah we got cheeseburger lah. Aduh, dah kuala Shido. Ambil. Balik. Mio, Mio. Perfect burger. Yeah, perfect. Kau tak bagi 5 star ke dekut tu. Mio nak lagi ingredients. Oh yeah, I forgot. Sabar. Tutup jap. Tak. Sorry. Beli. Jap, pergi jap. Apa ni? Ini apa? Oh yo. Mio order. Sian English tu. Nanti singgah sidai. Let's get sauce. Thank you for follow. Acai. Contoh. Let's go. There's no mayo. Mayo. Yeah, we got mayonnaise. Got bawang. Okay, what else we want? What have we got? No, not enough already. Utensils apa? We got trash can. Ni siapa nak pergi jamban ni? Okay. Ready. Let's go. What you want? You want cheese, okay. Business. Thank you for reminding me to buy stuff. Burger satu tapi awak tutup cakap. Dah aku cakap Melayu. Cakap apa? Saya mix. You want cheese. Cakap abang. Jangan sampai saya tembak abang bang. Saya tembak abang dengan mayonnaise kan bang. Nampak ai bang. Saya tak main-main bang. Hilang Stop. Tengok ini tumpah sebab abang ni bang. Ayuh. Tutup awet. Tutup sebab abang ramai ke. Aduh. The meat is overcooked. It's okay. Hang makan juga. Banyak dia agak datang kedai aku. Oh yo. They want every each of them. Ooh, rare too. What is that? What is that? Bro, what is this? Is this a veggie burger? Okay, okay. Oh shit, kami may masak pula. Business ni kental. Hidup ni kena kental. Sabar. Nah, mayonnaise. Pukul cheese ni. Ang nak cheese kan? Nak cheese kan? You want cheese right? Hihi, sabar, sabar. Marimba. Siap. Siap bang. Ayo, marah dah orang. Dia berdiam. Tak apa, janji korang semua makan. Nah. Cheese, double cheese. Yeah. Oh, I think we do need some cleaning later. Double cheese. Api berapa? Tak, saya letters and torrent. Habis tu kenapa beli cheese? Why you buy cheese more? Aduh. Tak apalah, duit aku juga. Ni dapatnya aku. Dapatnya gue makannya. What is that sound? Ayo, ayo, ayo. Tak nampak. Dah, balik. Tak nampak apa-apa. Dah letaklah cheese. Tak letak. Hai. You don't want lettuce tak makan sayur. Apa tu? Is this the thing? Do you have to cook it? Veggie burger. Is that a veggie burger? I don't know how to serve it. Do you have to serve it? Inasai. Thank you to follow. Kan nak mi rasa macam tak ada. This is not hipster cafe, bro. Okay. Is it how you get? How do you make? You make like veggie burger no cook? Kak Nami. Ada. Kalau mi rasa kopi. Nah, kopi dah. Aduh, geram aku. Kita tak kopi dia. Why you cooking bunnies? Because I love bunnies. Bunnies mean are so good. Karena air cheese. Astaga, dah bagi dah tadi. Habis dah. Betul-betul hilang lah air cheese tu. Astaga. Alamak. Oh yeah. It's like, oh my god. Okay. We did put cheese. Okay, the bread. Nah. I don't know what this is. But yeah, makan. Boleh 1 sen je. They threw things on my face. They didn't even pass it through the pan. Oh, kena masak. I see. I have to... Baju datang balik dapat diskaun. Hello kak. Hello kita. Hello. You want burger ni dengan menu. Okay. Bagus pilihan anak muda. I'm late for work, don't worry. It's worth it. Oh my god. Penat kerja aku ni. Overtime or no? Okay. You want the burger with mayo, right? Nah, mayo kau. Banyak lagi. Cukup situ je. Aduh. Ada tertinggal lagi orang kau ni so. Okay, just burger mayo. Lapar lah. I'm hungry again. Oi! Nak roti? I guess no. Okay. Sorry. I did not burger to lush my brain. Ayo. Oh. Oh, the balance. Oh. Okay. Tepi. Nah. Fresh. From the oven. Nah. Nah, roti. Tepi tu. Tepi tu. Nah. Lihat pada duit. I got money. Oh. Jatuh. Ari nak apa, Rik? Import. Tu kutip, boleh kutip kat tepi tu. Free je, adik. Ambil je. Cukup tu. Tapi, how much fire? One fire. Nak burger yang gepuk. Nah, gepuk kau. Ish. Baik tak jadi. Mesti bahaya si yang. Burger yang gepuk sayur tak nak? Sebaik. Nah, ambil yang ni extra lettuce rasa. Nak kubis goreng sambal biasa, ambil kubis kau. Nah, ambil kau. Baik. No cheese, no cheese, gonna cheese. No cheese. Let's go. Thank you for your order. Let's see what we can buy. Tabo. We need more. What we need. Any you can get in console. What is this for? My chopping board. Apa ni? I don't know lah. What lah. What you want? Welcome back. You want this fire? Let's go. I'm late for work. Bagi burgermu. Dah. That's your burger bira. Saya taruh di papa. Ni bukan rompakan ya. It is not a glory. This a customer you. Mana? Oh my god. Sorry. Okay, you cheese. Got cheese. Cheese. And you got extra mayonnaise. Oh, no. Yeah. Nah. See, perfect burger. Alright, oh. My first cheese. Yeah, you got your first cheese. Tepuk sikit. Yeah. Aduh. I'm at home bloody nurse. Oh. Why do you marah? What did I do? You want extra mayo, I think. Okay. So, ni lah. Kedai. Kena kemas siap. Ada jual yang gunting tak? Tak ada. Burger saja. No ayam gunting oh. Ya. Yang mana burger? Up. Double fine. want mayo, right? You want mayo. Yeah. Yeah. Business ini hanya support mayonnaise ya. Nak burger biru, no burger biru. Here you go. Ada sikit makan. Who are you? Hello, Dart. You want veggie burger? You want veggie burger? Let's see. Very healthy, ma. Oi! Thank you to follow, Sarah. Nak burger waffle. Nak burger. Nothing. Saja test tadi. Saja. Cepat pula dia terbakar. Thank you, Donut. Thank you for the follow. Ayo. Begar. Tak ada. You want mayo on top. Okay. Dah. Here you go. Burger. Thank you. Come again. Duit banyak. Oh my god, how long am I gonna play this game? Hopefully. Who are you? Atuk. Atuk makan apa Atuk? Burger dengan cheese Atuk. Oh, rare. Bergarang nak Atuk? Sedap eh? Sedap. Pakai arang. Tak nak tak apa. Kita campak kat tepi. Yeah. What tu? Minuman supaya. Thank you to follow. Cakap. Hello, thank you, Min. Waduh. Wait, you want cheese? Tapi apa extra flavor? We call it extra flavor. There you go. Ta-da! Thank you. Come again. I found hairs in my food. They weren't mine. If it's blue, that is my hair. But if it's other hair, it's not me. Shiro, you want the cheese? Any other else? You want to say hi? You want to say hi, Shiro? I think bro is too shy. It's okay. Oh, fire.
Probably.
Probably. Thank you for the TikTok. Thank you for the finger heart TikTok. Cheese, onion. Oh, why we don't have onion yet. You want cheese? Yeah, you guys are getting hang of it. You guys are learning how to order. There you go. Let's go. We are never get a 5-star. This is realistic dreaming. Uyo, what you want? Wanna say hi? Hi, Delia. You want mini girl? You want this patty, right? Masak. Ito yun, serigala ko. Say hi. No sauce? No sauce, just this? Okay. Here you go. Bon appetit. Bagi review je cantik mah. Coba me to bagi just order. Yeah. I'm getting hungry, guys. Ayo, welcome back. Want mayo? Suka korang dengan mayo. Double fire sign. Thank you, Ron. Thank you for follow. Ayo. Tabo. Nak menu special punya. Yes, menu special. Menu special. Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe. Awe. 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 Dah. Dah special dah tu. Give me money. Even if thinking of Allah. Oh my god, I'm so chaotic. Oh, sorry. Oh, welcome back. Oh, ini makan sayur. They want veggie burger. Oh, we ran out of bread. Let's go. Ini Maya say hi ma. Burger Arnab. Diam. What you want? Burger cheese. Oh, yo. Yeah. Thank you. Aku lupa cheese lah bro. Last one. Kau jangan hangit. Kau jangan hangit. The party tadi. This one no cheese oh. So sweet. Maafin no. Atuk nak semua sikit. Banyak susah itu pasal. Just put it fresh in the bag. Solid fresh oh. Karina say, thank you for follow. Dah ada 2 orang. Shush. Tak tahu apa. I couldn't be happy with the surface. Okay, atuk boleh terbang lah jadi kelawar. Akhirnya jangan burger. kita dah cukup duit untuk tambah something. Thank you. A compliment to the chef. Chef sis. Nak beli apa guys? Tomato? Sabar. Tomato? What is this? Nak beli bawang? Baik. Nak sauce? This is honey.
Probably.
Chicken leg. Thank you for the chicken leg. I'm so hungry. Oh my god. What is this stuff? Do we get this? I think it'll be useful. We can buy that. Okay, we buy more ingredients. Let's buy the tomato. There you go. So it look more like a burger. Yeah, second curry pot. Alah, duduk sini lah. Oh, boleh alih. Let's go. Coklat kak. Ni aku buat coklat ni tau. Coklat Ada. Hang tu dah cukup coklat dah. Tengok dah salah masak. Asal dah habis dah. Nah, aku ambil coklat ni dulu. Ini coklat pun boleh. Tak nak rasa demam. Saya bukan doktor. Saya lagi menyakitkan anda lah. Biar nak ambil tambahan untuk insurans. Phew. Excuse me. Yang hujung kanan bawah sedap je tak ada. Awan dah ni. Nah ni coklat ham. Hey, mau burger. Burger. Ketchup burger. Trauma aku. Akan bully saya. Tak saya dirawat. Sampai hati, sampai kaki. The customer always wrong. Nah, pergi main jauh. Terima kasih bagi duit. Aduh, penat lah. The practice culinary violence. Ni siapa ni? Ni mesti kak. Kan betul. My loyal customer, welcome back. I want one more bitch. Mana ada cheese dalam ni? Hang salah order dek. You know, we're done. Gini tak nak. Itu. Tengok lettuce tu. Makan sayur banyak-banyak. Semak lah ni. Mini dah. My favorite cooker. Nah, cheese hang. Bagi banyak. Ambil. Cheese tu on the go Nah, ambil. Ambil everything in it. Hello. Atuk. Tak patah gigi lah Atuk makan. Oh, dia nak makan sayur ini. Challenging for veggie burger. Bayar pakai makasih boleh? Boleh dek. Janji bayar. Bayar. Nyanyi boleh bayar. Nanti main IC. Saya nak simpan nak buat guna jual kat dark web. Kinasai. Thank you for follow. Extra patty tak boleh dek. Harga my kasih mahal loh. Layak 10-20 je. There you go. Ooh, that's so nice. Got more money. Complimentary chef. Ya, tu. Bagus lah tu. Ada berapa lagi? Lagi 4 After that, ditutup kedai Mantap. Alah, tak nak cheese, tak nak sayur. Nak tomato. Okay. Lagi 3 orang dah. 3 people lah. Sabar deh.
Probably.
Bobby, thank you udah finger heart TikTok. Ini atuk tadi kan. Tengok tomato. Ini ada tomato. Yeah, bagus pakai sayur. Yes, dia semua pakai tomato. Ya, bayar merah. Come on, let's go. Who else? So good, aku nak stop eating. Yeah, sedap. Air tangan bergerak Arnab. Let's go. We got 1 tomato and lettuce, okay. How are you today, sir? Oh, I think we can go 5 more round. Next round license ya. Plus burger roti tak cukup. Burger roti not enough. Tak baik membazir. Tak nak bayar guna simen boleh? Tak boleh. Kau belah. Habis roti aku. Dah, kau belah. Kau bayar dulu, bayar. Yeah. Tak ada. Okay, kena buka kedai baru. Maju kita ada frying pan ni. Ketuk orang. Thank you for follow. Hi again. Hi. Thank you for follow. Ni no. Ni guys what? Nyuai tomato lettuce. Api berapa? 2. Thank you for follow Ziki. Api 1, 2. Yes, tomato. I'm blind now. Nak saya tolong lagi blind kah? Dah. Betul. Welcome. You're welcome. Terima kasih membantu memotong sayur.
Probably.
Thank you for Friday. Hello. Hi. Sorry if Mio can't see this chat. I got to focus the stream. Dah. Thank you datang lagi. Dah hit my forehead like a sniper. No cheese at all. Oh, putting a cheese. Thank you for having me, Suki. Hello, Ato. Welcome back. What you want? You want veggie burger? You suka makan sayur? Yeah, you want veggie. Okay, this one is last round, okay? Thank you for follow, Akira. Oh my god, my hand. What you want, Ato? Ada bacon tak? Tak halal. Bagi yang nggak halal loh. Cuma tomato. Atuk ni main dah makin tua makin nyanyo. Nah. Hai. Ambil balik. Ya, yeah, banyak duit. Aku kuda, astaga. Kuda tu mana ada makan lagi. Ha, ni siapa? Hello. Ni orang baru ni. Ini baru, banyak baru. Ni sebaya ada sikit lagi. We got tomato. Lupa nak masak. Hai. How are you, Shafina? Thank you dah hari ni kau. Ni halal ke ni halal? Arnab, rabbit. Dijamin 100%. Tak sure halal. No worry. No, Yung huy itu orang yang tak pakai signature. Thank you dah follow. Yeah. Time. Let's go. Hey, welcome back. Got tomato cheese. Tunggu. Api apa? What you want spicy? You want spicy rare. Okay, 2 burgers left, okay? 2 burgers left. At later, Mio tutup kedai. Mana ada hulu lagu? Tak ada lagu. Mainlah dinding tu. Dinding tu lagu lah tu. Riana. Ni cheese lettuce. Let's go. Tak nak yang burgernya ada radio. Ambil. Nah radio. Dah pergi. Itu tu Happy Meal. Jangan lupa ambil balik radio tu. Ayo. Lettuce and cheese. Okay. Hello. Heroes. Okay, one last burger guys. And later tutup kedai we are closing. One last burger and then we close. Oh my god, how many customer today we raise? What you want? You want cheese and lettuce, okay? Good. Very good choice. Nak sayang sekali balik. Niche sayang hang. Ish. Wadah yang ni cheese. Elok aku dapat yang normal lah. Jangan marah. Tak ada. Ni sayang kau. Ambil. Sebaik delicious. Aduh, inilah manusia dah maju terus untuk kedai. Aku nak rehat. Rezeki. You want two spicy burger, tomato tu. Okay, let's go. News choice. Tu fire burger. Okay, last burger guys. Lepas ni tutup lah. Lepas ni dah tak ambil order dah. Have to do that. No. Rezeki is last, okay? Sorry about that. Kedai lah. Pening lah aku. Let's go. Yeah, rezeki tu fire. Oh, yo. Lapar lah pula. Nak burger berapi hangus. Okay lah, saya buat untuk last kan finally. Burger finally hangus lah. Sekejap. Kita tengok sikit tengok pendidikan akhir Okay. Dia tu. Sedap Nak cheese, nak tomato. I see. Cheese and tomato. Tengok ni. Tak apa. Dengan sos dia sedap. Cheese, tomato. Got cheese, tomato already. Okay. Yeah. Let's go. Burger. Tak, Food Panda boleh tak? Tak boleh. Dia bagi aku satu je. More than my grandfather's pipe. Okay, kedai tutup. Sorry guys. Ni siapa ni? Sorry guys, kedai tutup Sorry. Thank you guys for watching. Sekejap. Kena gitu je ya. Sorry lah. Oh my god. They thought it was crazy. Okay, we can play again. Thank you for the finger heart, rasa. Oh yo. Kenapa ada bunyi loceng? Habis ke ni? Kedai tutup dia. Kau dah kebanyak kali datang ni. Ni dah. Sejak bila ada benda ni? Hang ada baju ke? Sejak bila ada baju? Kedai tutup dah. Thank you for the gold rezeki. Kata sampai subuh tak ada. Aku dah tak boleh dengan muka comel ni. Tak. Since when ada outfit ni? I think it's a rare option I think. It's a rare. Okay, fine. Buka kedai. Last untuk korang. Last. Thank you follow. Thank you guys. Thank you. Oh my god, so many gold popular. Thank you rezeki. Hilang dah member. Tak apalah, kedai tutup lah. Baru nak berniaga. Ni siapa? Okay lah, yelah layan last. Ayo. Let's get rich, okay? Member rajuk lah lari. Tutup kedai dah. Aku bagi frying pan sekali. Penat. Oh my god. Kan nak order pizza. Kau ambil ni. Main jauh. Kan dah berasap tu. Bagus. Jangan apa-apa tinggi dah follow. Nak mayo tapi tak ada mayo. Kau ambil ni kau belah. Janji anda happy je lah. Just love me how I didn't spend such undercook me. Thank you. Okay, siapa? Cepat. Okay, you want regular burger. Okay, got you. you the follow, Kimi. Ayo. Lagi berapa? Oh my god, getting tired. Tak ada cheese oh. Nak mayo tak ada cheese yo. You order tak ada mayo tak ada cheese oh. Mana boleh gitu ah. Nanti saya review salah oh. Customer always right no. Nah. Tak ada. You order tak ada. Dia kena comment and letak what you guys want. Yeah. It was so good I couldn't stop eating. Yeah. Hayah. Tu cheese tu tinggal kat belakang tu. Ni siapa ni? Mana kau punya headphone? Kenapa? Saya nak simpan baju saja. What happy? Okay, last two burger. Main pening. Api satu. Sorry. You want mayo? Yes, saya last dengan tak ada baju. Apa-apa lah korang. Malah layan. There you go. Here you go. Enjoy. Yes, eat the coin. Last. Bye. Ini my burgers. 4. Ada lagi berapa burger? 2 burger lagi. Nak veggie burger boleh. Kalau nak. Oh, okay. Nak semua. Okay. Busy one. Very special one. Api. How many api? 1, 2 api. Oh, sakit badan. Pencing. This is how it felt for F&B Let's put cheese on the bottom. Cheese on the bottom. And then without the patty. You want lettuce tak? Duit pencin banyak lagi. Bagus lah. Mai datang lagi. He's like, come here. You want mayonnaise? You want mayonnaise and cheese? Mayonnaise and cheese. Oh, without tomato. Yeah, this is the perfect burger. Yeah. Hari nice Lion, thank you to follow. Banyak duit. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, last. Ni betul-betul last Penat kita. Hello. Oh, kau bukan datang ke tadi? Okay, last guys. Sorry guys.
Probably.
Sorry. Tak boleh niaga dah. Thank you for the durian. Kang betul-betul bayar. Wapi.
Probably.
Thank you for the rose karasu. Okay, tutup kedai. Mimi. Dah. Tutup dah. Sabar. Okay, apa tinggal sabar. Nak durian punya flavor. Nak durian kau. Sedap tak durian tu? Nah, take away sekali. Okay. Yeah, tutup kedai Hello, show me hello. Akak vandalisme saya. Anda bukan barang. You're not an item. Ayah, oh my god. Okay. Kedai tutup guys. Thank you so much for watching the game. Was it fun? I hope you guys enjoyed the game. Sorry if I said something wrong. Hanya gurauan semata-mata. Semoga semua berbahagia dan dah kenyang semua nak makan banyak burger. Thank you so much. Saya nak keadilan. Sorry lah, saya tak ada. Saya bukan bawah kerajaan, saya swasta. Thank you guys. Arigato. Tutup. Ya, tanggal April ni. Oh, penat. Nak kenal kenapa baju polis keluar. Kak, nak tanya kenapa baju polis jual burger. Dia bisa suap nasi. Dia bisa suap lobak merah. Kak nak main lagi tak? Kakak main lagi tak? Tak tahu lagi. We'll see. Dah game baru beli. Nanti ada lah masa kita main lagi. Okay. Main hari-hari penat saya. Baik saya kerja betul-betul je. Thank you guys. Tak apa hukum tertelan meja pada bulan puasa. Hukumnya still batal. Tapi na'udzubillah, lepas dah telan tu rasanya tak sempat kot nak ganti. Ya. Yeah. Mio bila lagi stream? I do stream randomly for now. Mio, I will try to stream every day, but sometimes Saturday, Sunday, busy sikit with a lot of stuff. But yeah, I will stream randomly around this hour, or lagi lewat malam or petang. Yeah, or morning. So yeah, rehat dulu ya. Tak sempat lagi nak mengucap kak, tak sampai. Na'udzubillah, tak sampai. So lepas tu bawa lah insaf-insaf ya. Aduh, penat lah. Ya, nomor baju. Sebab tu saya pakai apron. Tak nampak lah baju polis kan. Okay, thank you guys. Welcome. Ya, aku welcome to my stream lah. Aduh, penat lah. Tak apa, hukum boyfriend sambil makan. Man, saya nak tahu. Saya polis, bukan ustaz. Tanya lah Ustaz Arnab tu. Aduh. Wallahi, brother. Thank you. Okay, bye-bye. Kakak rehat tak? Ya, saya rehat. You guys take care. Behave. By the way, my stream is 18 plus, so better behave. Really 18 plus stream. So if you guys are new, just to let you guys know lah. So thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. Take care.